Here's part two of your type self-portrait, and what you want to do is go to your file management system here using your main folder and your graphic design folder and your type self-portrait folder, and go to where you started your type self-portrait. Go ahead and open that up in Adobe Illustrator, and you want to make sure that you're working in layers here. You want to have a source layer that has your black and white image that you did in Photoshop. And one of the things I neglected to show you in Photoshop is how you could increase contrast so you could see more shading. But this one I think is possibly good enough. I'm going to go to Photoshop here and open up that TSP source, and I am going to adjust it just a little bit, get a little bit more contrast here. Sometimes that helps, and I don't know if I want to make it maybe a little bit darker, a little bit more contrast. And I'm going to close this out. I'm going to hit save, and hopefully that will auto update in Illustrator. It says some files are missing or modified in the links panel. Would you like to update them now? I'm going to hit yes. Now we have a little bit more contrast, so the edge is a little bit more vibrant, and we can see where things change, and you see your shapes a little bit more. So now I'm going to go ahead and get started. Make sure you work on the typography layer. Right now I have the source layer selected. Now I have the typography layer. So one of the things that students like to do is they like to put some background text, just some surface material about their personality, things like their name, what school they go to, different things like that. So I'm going to make sure I'm on this layer here. I'm going to go to this tool here, the pen tool, the letter P on your keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and click at that spot, click up here, click over here, click right here, and now I can't see what else I'm doing. So what you can do is go to your fill and give it a no fill right here, none. So I'm on the fill, and I click there for no fill. Now I'm just going to go around the shape of my portrait. And I click and curve here, click and curve here around my hat, click and curve here around my hat here. Now if I click up here, do you see how it goes like that? We can fix that. I'm going to undo by Command Z, and if I click right on that anchor point, it makes this handlebar go away on my bezier curve. So now I'm just going to click and drag here, click and drag here, and normally I would do this with a little bit more precision, but for what we're doing on this project, the precision is not completely necessary. It's going to be all done with typography. So I'll just continue down. And when you go to your very last click, I want you to notice that there's a little circle by the pen tool. That means you're going to close your object. When you're working with Adobe Illustrator, it's vital that you close your objects for drawing techniques. For this typography project, is not vital. But for the background that we're going to do here, we need a solid object. So make sure you close that object with that circle here. So something like that. Now I'm going to swap. I'm going to swap my stroke and fill, and I have this box up here. I'm going to alt click and drag this box, and I'm just going to set it aside right here. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call this layer background. And we're going to work in layers on this project because I'm going to make a background and then just turn the eyeball off, and I'm going to work on another layer but I'll just make a background for now. And what I'll do here is I'm going to make a text box, and I want to make this text box about the same size as this right here. So I'm going to click and drag and just estimate the size of that text box. Hopefully that will be about the same size. And I'm going to take this over here and take a look, and it's not. I need to make my text box a little bit wider. Something like that. I'm going to go back to my type tool, go into my type box, and I'm going to say Christopher. Can't spell my own name. Plus I can't see it. I'm going to make it bigger. So I can see it. Christopher Glenn is a rock star. And then I'm not going to have it Myriad Pro. I'm going to use Helvetica Bold. And up here, I just typed in, you can just type in what font you want it. And if you want it bold, you type in B and it pulls up bold. I'm also going to make it all caps. Especially on this project, you probably don't want hyphen, so I'm going to go to paragraph, uncheck hyphen, and I'm going to lower the size here. That should be pretty good. Now I'm going to copy and paste this a bunch of times. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to lower the size a little bit, see if I can get it all to fit on one page. Okay, so I'm going to undo. What I neglected here was I need a space after Rockstar. Now I can, let's do it again. Let's see if we can fix that. Put a space here. Now, okay, put a space here. Now I'm going to select all, copy and paste. Pretty good, except I need to lower the line spacing here. Here's the line spacing. I'm just going to put this, smush it together a little bit and put my cursor there. I'm going to put a few more. Christopher is a rock star. I forgot what my line spacing was. 27. So I'll select all and I'll put in 27 on my line spacing. That looks like it's going to work. Let me put in one more. I'm going to select all, change my line spacing again. There we go. Now I don't want it to be solid black because it's the background. So I'm going to make that text a light gray. Let's try 25. Now I see students do this all different ways. Right here I'm making it all 25%, but what you can do is you can take some of it here and I can make this 15%. And make the next part here 25%. And then you can take the next part make it 35%. And then so it's going from light to dark. Let's go to that last section here and we'll make it, let's go ahead and make it 50%. So now it just goes from a light gray to a darker gray. Now what we need to do is a thing called a clipping mask. We're going to take this, I'm going to set this right on top, and I still didn't quite get that text as big as I wanted it, so we can grab a corner, hold Command and Shift, and resize it. And that tool is not letting me do that, so let's use another tool. There's another tool over here called Scale. I'm going to use this scaling tool. I'm going to make sure this is selected, and I'm going to increase the size to 111%. Let's see if that's probably too big. Scale it up to 106%. Okay, now that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take my black mask, and right now, see where the mask is? The mask is below, so we do need to arrange this so it's on the front. Put the mask on the front, set it on top of your text. Now select both of these items, right click, and say Create Clipping Mask. So now we have that as a background. And also, something that might be nice is to know the shortcut for clipping mask. And I want to show you that here. Compound path and clipping mask. I can't do either one of those, so I'm going to undo. I'm going to select this. Clipping mask is Command 7. Another one that I want you to know is compound path, Command 8. So we're going to go ahead and make the clipping mask just like what I showed you here. And the whole reason that I made a copy of this, just so you can set this aside, because you might want to use this for something else. So now I'll take this background here. So now I have a background. I can turn off my eyeball to see what I'm doing. So that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to leave that one off for now. But I do want this. I want this so I can put some text on a path possibly around this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. And I'll call this one my typography. I'll take this shape that I made and see how it appears as a red bounding box. This layer is also red, but I'm going to drag that little square to this next layer here. Now it's on a green layer, so I can turn this one off. And now I still have this path if I need it on my new layer. And I'm going to also make a copy of this one here. For now, I'm actually going to leave this right here. So I'm going to stop right here for this video, and I'll make a part 3 to show you how to continue to keep working on this.